So many desires, or as many desires, so many blankets. Covering the radiance of the Spirit. We have to uncover to discover. We have to uncover, discover. We have to uncover, discover.
Welcome everyone to another episode. Actually, it's the season finale. We're bringing the year 2025 to a close. So, it's a unbelievable feeling actually to be able to have 17 episodes that we would have done in the first year. It's very exciting, and I'm thankful. And we have a lot of interesting things we're going to talk about today. The holidays that we celebrate here in the U.S. and in various countries throughout the world, namely Hanukkah, which is a Jewish holiday, as well as a great big Christian holiday known as Christmas. So that's what we celebrate in the month of December, and I'm very thankful to have all our audience who has been listening to us all year long, and I hope that you all will continue to support us in the coming year as well. Before I go forward with the introductory prayers, I would actually like to take this time to introduce and welcome a guest host who has joined me. Her name is Sangeetha Narayan. For some of you who may have seen a Facebook Live that we did, myself and Vikram did with her on her book that was very, very interesting book, and we'll talk a little bit about that. It's called According to Dhruv. So we had spoken to her, and if some of you were able to catch that, then you may already be a little familiar with Sangeetha. Those of you who are local in this area, you might know that she's a very talented singer as well. So I'm going to actually introduce her a little more formally now. So with an associate degree in early childhood education and a passion for writing, Sangeetha always aspired to write books that would help kids with social emotional growth. Her belief that the older generation and daily chores can be therapeutic in assisting kids with a value-based upbringing. In her debut book, Meera Makes Aloo Paratha, she takes her children's experiences with their paternal grandfather to show kids everywhere that patience, time, and cooking can also help teach life lessons. Her second book, which I mentioned, According to Dhruv, is a relatable middle school grade novel about faith, family, and finding your value system in a world that is always changing. So true. Sangeetha also works part-time as a teacher assisting at Global Children Montessori School. When she's not writing or working, Sangeetha loves to sing, as I mentioned, read, and indulge in other creative pursuits such as knitting and drawing. Wow, Sangeetha, quite a resume there. And it's a pleasure to have you be a part of this show. Welcome to the show. And thank you so much for being so gracious to accept this invite that was very last minute. You just had about 24 hours notice, and I can't thank you enough for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's very cool to be in the season finale episode of this podcast. It's an honor, and I'm so glad you invited me for this.
Thank you so much. So, as we always do, Sangeetha, we start with our prayers. Always we invoke the grace of God and Guru, and then we proceed forward. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
So, Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha, Sadguru Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatye Swaha. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Om Shri Mahakalikaye Namaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiya Mamritat. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha, Om Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrusham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogi Birthyanagam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Pandurangaya. Om Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramarthanam Devaki Paramanandam Shri Krishnam Vande Jagatkurum. Om Klim Krishnaya Namaha, Om Klim Krishnaya Namaha. Hare Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
This was
Thank
a
you.
wonderful start. Wonderful start. Thank you so much for this. I needed this to calm myself down.
No. Thank you, Sangeetha. I just want to mention, normally Vikram or Christiane would be here to do this, but unfortunately, neither one of them is able to join me today. Especially I'm missing Christiane today because we're going to be speaking about the Jewish holiday, as I mentioned, Hanukkah, and that's right up her alley, so to speak. And I just, I wish she could have been here to speak about it, but that's fine. But to all our new listeners who have not been following us, please note that we are available to stream from various platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and all that. And also we have our social media pages on Facebook, Divine Discoveries. Divine Discoveries 108 is our Instagram handle. And divinediscoveries108@gmail.com is our email. So please do let us know how we're doing. We'd like to get more feedback from our listeners. We'd also request you all to give us some ratings on the various streaming platforms directly, so that way those who stumble upon our podcast have some reviews that they can look at. And please be honest with your reviews. We're happy to get any sort of feedback that we can get from you all. We appreciate constructive criticism as well. So, we, and once again, appreciate all of you engaging with us in whichever way that you are. Thank you. So, Sangeetha, you're not just a guest, but you're also a guest host today. So you're going to be helping me out in the various segments and topics we're going to discuss today, which is going to be very interesting. A lot of history there, a lot of history. So I want to ask you, before we get into all that, I wanted to ask you to speak a little bit about According to Dhruv, because I read the book, and of course we did the Facebook Live, which is in the form of a YouTube video now. So those of you who are connected or subscribed to my YouTube channel, you all can watch that video where Vikram and I spoke with Sangeetha about her book a little bit more in depth. But if you can give us a little short summary about, your thought process with this book, what led to this book coming about, and also if you want to give a little preview to our listeners about it, so they're inspired to read it.
Yeah. So, according to Dhruv, I would say it has been a long time in the making. Actually, the writing part of it took maybe a couple of years, but the ideas and the concepts in the book have been in the making right from my childhood days, like watching. So it's basically about this fifth grader, Dhruv, who lives in in, who lives in United States with his family and who goes to a school here, but who is also whose nanima, that is his grandma, mom's mother, also lives with them. So because of that, he's exposed to certain Hindu culture intrinsically, like in the day-to-day things of his life, and how it clashes with his belief system, which is like he's a budding scientist. So he believes, like he himself says, I believe in anything that I can see, touch, hear. That's actually one of the lines he uses. I believe in anything that I can see, touch, hear. And I believe in science. But I believe in things that can be proved, that has a solid base. So when he watches his grandma pray to, Lord Ganesha and has such extreme faith, it's something that he's not able to accept. And then he goes through various life situations and he meets different people. He has a best friend and he faces some bullying situation in school and all that, how it all connects. And then like the biggest crisis he faces is when his dad has a health issue happening, and where he is taken to the hospital. And he again is like, such a big thing is happening and grandma is still going there and praying to God. Like, how is God going to come and help him? Like, is God really coming? And if God was here, why is my dad sick? Why did my dad have to go? Stuff like that. So those are the kind of questions that I try to approach in this book. And it comes to its own natural conclusion. As I told you before, there were many times that I felt stuck. Like I didn't know where the story was heading. I'm not a planner. So I let the story take me. So I pretty much let the characters, I let Dhruv take me along a journey. I let Nanima take me along the journey. Who, by the way, Nanima is my favorite character that I have ever created. Like everybody needs to have someone like her in her life, in our lives.
Yes.
Or somebody who can guide us through all the various crises. So you will see how she's there for her grandchild without actually pushing him into anything.
Right.
Letting him come to his own beliefs by the end of the story. So that's how, but this whole story, I would say that it's my passion project. It's a culmination of everything that I have learned watching different people in my lives over the years.
Yeah, truly an incredible read. I enjoyed reading it myself. And, it was, these are the questions that a lot of people, especially growing up in this generation, the kids that we are raising right now are going to have a lot of these questions, even more so than I think in the past, and they're going to grapple with these questions, and of course we need, like you said, Nanima allowed Dhruv to sort of
come to his own conclusions.
Come to his own conclusions through his own experiences.
But she also presented another side of it by, having a staunch belief in her own faith. She didn't let go of her faith, and she encouraged him to have his own faith. So it's like, that's what we need now. Like, we don't need to be pushing people, but we also need to be presenting what we believe in.
Absolutely. No judgmentalness, and, really trying to bring the most meaningful, like why you would do this, why you would engage in some sort of ritual or faith practice or something like that. Quite often there are a lot of rituals or a lot of customs and traditions that have science interconnected with them. There's intertwined.
Definitely, yes.
It's only when you understand from that perspective, many people come around to understanding that, okay, this makes sense now,
Yes.
So, Dhruv is an amazingly inquisitive character and very, relatable, very relatable. So thank you so much for, writing this wonderful book and, putting it out there for the world to read. And that brings me to the question, tell us where people can find this book for purchase.
So this book is available on Amazon. This book is available Barnes and Nobles, like any of the online. If you just go type up according to Dhruv, Sangeetha Narayan on Google, there are like lots of websites now, like bookshop.org. If you are into like, if you want to encourage the local bookshops and everything like that. So if you buy through bookshop.org, I think it also helps with the local bookshop owners. So you can go through there. So pretty much any online website, it's available. And I'm hoping to get it into the libraries. So one way you
That
can
would be
help me
wonderful.
is by recommending my book to the public libraries. And if they like it, they may even do it. Actually, you guys can, with anybody who has an account in the library, can do that for me.
Oh, okay. I will do that. Yeah, and
Yeah, I mean,
those.
these are the things that not many people are aware of. Like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
You just type it in the Google library account, and if it says that it's not available, they also give you an option. And if you keep scrolling down, it asks you like, "Oh, would you like to make a suggestion?"
Yeah.
So if you click on that, then it asks you for all the information about the book, which you can fill out and submit.
Oh, that's really good to know. Good information. So I'll certainly do that for you.
Thank you so much. Thank
And
you.
those of you who are listening, I highly recommend you all take the time to read this. And especially if you have children who are, of the middle school age or, going to be
Asking questions.
who are asking these kind of questions. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, definitely you should be reading books like this to them.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sangeetha. And I would like to now speak about, in the month, we do this segment called the Holy Days of the Month, right? And today is not Christmas, we're past that. It's not Hanukkah, we're past that. But it is a day that we celebrate by fasting, and it is called Ekadashi. And I try my best to observe all 24 of these because there's typically 2 in a month. We happen to have 3 this month because there was one very early in the month, and it is a long month. So today happens to be the 3rd Ekadashi, and it's a very special one called Vaikuntha Ekadashi. So as we know, the term Vaikuntha refers to the abode of Lord Vishnu. And we'll talk about the significance of this day when I actually get to that segment of the holy days. But I just kind of wanted to mention this, that we're recording this on a very auspicious day. And that leads me into another meaningful day, which was the very beginning of this month. December 1st was Srimad Bhagavad Gita Jayanti. That was the day, according to, of course, these days vary based on month and calendar month and all that, because we go by a lunar cycle.
Lunar calendar, yes.
Lunar calendar. And it happened to fall on December 1st this year. And, this is the day when the greatest wisdom given to humanity, I would say, by Lord Sri Krishna, Bhagwan Sri Krishna, in the middle of a battlefield, right before a war is about to begin, to his friend, his cousin, his student, who became his student really at that point, right? Because
Yes.
till then he thought he was a mere friend and very, somebody who could lean on. But, he didn't realize that he was associating with someone so divine, and larger than life. So in the Bhagavad Gita, as you know, this is 18 chapters of tremendous knowledge and wisdom and learning, and a lot of life lessons, and what we can apply in our life is taught in this. And I'm not going to go really into the Bhagavad Gita wisdom itself, because there's a lot to it. And in the future, we will be discussing Bhagavad Gita. We may do chapter by chapter analysis. And I know that Vikram's uncle, this is a preview to all of you, Vikram's uncle, he may be joining us in January, because he's also an author, Sangeetha respectively, who wrote a book on Bhagavad Gita.
Wow.
Yeah, and how to apply it in our modern day life, how to make sense of the verses and try to apply it to today's circumstances, context, how our lives are going in this fast-paced world.
That is amazing. I mean, it's to make it more approachable
Yes.
for the layman. Yeah.
Right. So I hope that we will have him join us in January for that. So, but before we move on to the main topics that we're going to talk about today, I wanted to take this opportunity to recite 9 verses that many people who have read the Bhagavad Gita, they may not even know about them. They're called the Dhyana Shlokas. Dhyana means like when you're meditating, when you're completely tuned into something, and these meditational verses were written or composed by the 16th century Advaita saint and philosopher known as Madhusudana Saraswati. He wrote these 9 verses to glorify the wisdom of the Gita, of course, the catalyst Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the warrior, and the original composer of the Mahabharata known as Sage Vedavyasa. So he wanted to glorify all these important characters who are integral part of the Bhagavad Gita. So through these 9 verses, he prepares the reader for what they're about to read so that they're mentally in the right frame of mind, which is necessary, and an open mind, so that they can try to soak in as much of this wisdom as possible. And of course, one-time read is never enough. That's why I always recommend people reread the Bhagavad Gita as many times as possible. There's so many different versions out there. I can see why people, may get confused by that. But I think always the author, if they're from a very saintly or if they're from a very rich tradition or parampara, they will often deliver the same central message that you should be taking in, just maybe with slightly different examples or analogies or, some way to connect you to what the main teaching is. So on that note, I'd like to have Sangeetha's assistance with this. As I recite each Dhyana Shloka, I will pause and have Sangeetha, tell you what the English meaning of that verse is. I am not very adept in Sanskrit recitation, so I am going to go, I'm going to take my time with these, so please bear with me. But if you are familiar with these, please chant along. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Sadguru Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan Ki Jai Bhagavad Gita Mata Ki Jai Om Parthaya Pratibodhita Bhagavata Narayanina Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitaamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Patvam Anusandhadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. That's verse 1.
So, Om, O Bhagavad Gita, with which Partha was illuminated by Lord Narayana himself, and which was composed within the Mahabharata by the ancient sage Vyasa, O Divine Mother, the destroyer of rebirth, the showerer of nectar of Advaita, and consisting of 18 discourses upon thee, O Gita, O affectionate mother, I meditate.
Second verse. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Fullara Vinda Yatapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajwalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha.
Salutations unto thee, O Vyasa, of broad intellect and with eyes like the petals of a full-blown lotus, by whom the lamp of knowledge, filled with the oil of the Mahabharata, has been lit.
Verse 3. Prapanna parijataya totra vetraikapanaye jnana mudraya krishnaya Geetamrita Duhe Namaha.
Salutations to Lord Krishna, the Parijata or the Kalpataru or the bestower of all desires for those who take refuge in him, the holder of the whip in one hand, the holder of the symbol of divine knowledge, and the milker of the divine nectar of Bhagavad Gita.
Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopalanandanaha partho vatsa sudhir bhokta dugdham geetamritam mahat. That was verse 4.
All the Upanishads are the cows. The milker is Krishna. The cowherd boy, Partha, Arjuna, is the calf. Men of purified intellect are the drinkers. The milk is the great nectar of the Gita.
Verse number 5 is a special one because we always recite this as a part of our opening prayers. Vasudeva sutam devam kamsa chanuramardanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum.
I salute Sri Krishna, the world teacher, son of Vasudeva, the destroyer of Kamsa and Chanura, the supreme bliss of Devaki.
Verse number 6. Bhishma drona tata jayadhrata jala gandhara nilotpala shalya grahavati kripena vahani karnena vela kula ashwathama vikarna ghora makara duryodhana vartini sotirna khalu pandavai rananadi kaivartakah keshava.
With Keshava as the helmsman, verily was crossed by the Pandavas, the battle river, whose banks were Bhishma and Drona, whose waters was Jayadratha, whose blue lotus was the king of Gandhara, whose crocodile was Salya, whose current was Kripa, whose billow are Karna, whose terrible alligators were Vikarna and Ashwathama, and whose whirlpool was Duryodhana.
Verse 7. Parasharya vacha sarojamamalam geethartha gandhotkatam nanakyanaka kesharam harikatha sambodhana bodhitam loke sajjana shatpadairaharaha pepiyamanam muda bhuyad bharata pankajam kalimala pradvamsina shreyase.
May this lotus of the Mahabharata, born in the lake of the words of Vyasa, sweet with the fragrance of the meaning of the Gita, with many stories as its stamens, fully opened by the discourse of Hari, the destroyer of the sins of Kali, and drunk joyously by the bees of good men in the world, become day by day the bestowal of good to us.
Verse 8. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam.
I salute the Madhava, the source of supreme bliss, whose grace makes the dumb eloquent and the cripple cross mountains.
Ninth and final verse is Yam Brahma Varunindra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedaihi Sanga Padakramopanishader Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyana Vastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Na Vidu Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha.
Salutations to that God whom Brahma, Indra, Varuna, Rudra, and the Maruts praise with divine hymns, of whom the Sama chanters sing by the Vedas and their Angas in the Pada and the Krama methods, and by the Upanishads, whom the yogis see with their minds absorbed in him through meditation, and whose ends the hosts of devas and asuras know not.
And with that, we have recited and given you the meaning of the 9 Dhyana Shlokas. So now we come to talking about Hanukkah, the Jewish holiday, as well as the Christian holiday known as Christmas. So a lot of people may not know, unless you are a historian or, a history buff. I don't know. Sangeetha, would you call yourself somebody who loves to learn about history or?
I have not been one up till now, but I am learning now. I have been listening to a lot of the podcasts, and let me say, I've just started the journey. So I won't say that I won't call myself a history buff yet. Maybe
okay.
a few years down the line, yes.
Sure. I personally have always been a lover of history because I feel like it's always good to know what we are doing today has some connection with what started somewhere. Of course, maybe what form it's in today, what it's morphed into could be different. And maybe how you celebrate something or how you live today may be different. And that's going to happen because of change being the only constant in this world. But it's always good to see the origins of how something came about, right?
Exactly.
Like we know these big festivals like Hanukkah and Christmas and Diwali and all of this, but it's always nice to know how it all started. Where did it start? What was the significance? What took place in order to give birth, if you will, to this type of a holiday and festival, So we'll start with Hanukkah because, Jesus Christ was a Jew. And before Christianity came about, the Jewish civilization was thriving. The Judaic faith is one of the most ancient ones, I would say, along with Hinduism. So we'll start with Hanukkah. And it's also interesting that Hanukkah is spelled traditionally different. We have the spelling as we know it as Hanukkah. But it's also spelled as Chanukah. Which is Chanu single K AH.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's new to me.
Yeah. So there's a small story associated with this great celebration of Hanukkah. In approximately the year 167 BC, before Christ, in what is the modern-day capital city of Israel known as Jerusalem, there was a Jewish temple, very prominent temple that the Jews would worship in. And at that time, a lot of Eastern Asia and, a lot of what we call modern-day Middle East and European countries, they were under Roman rule or Greek rule. So in this case, it was the Greeks who were trying to invade and really, the Jews have always, just like, I guess I can say our community can relate to this, have always been under siege, under attack, invasions from all different civilizations, try to convert, people to believe what they believe and all that. So, in this case, the Greeks were trying to bring about their belief system and enforce it upon the Jews.
Yeah.
And it was called Hellenization. And this was the early form of what became known as the pagan belief system or paganism.
Okay.
Where they believed in nature worship, which relates to actually what we do in Hinduism.
Hinduism too, yeah.
Yeah. And, the Greek mythology is very well, very popularly known. There's the Greek god Zeus, who is like the most powerful one of them all. And this dynasty of the Greeks was called the Seleucid dynasty. And there was a king, King Antiochus IV, Epiphanes was his name. And he was the one who led this attack upon this temple in Jerusalem, this Jewish temple. And he defiled it by sacrificing a pig there. He destroyed the altar and all the holy
building
artifacts.
and everything.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't destroy the building as such, but he destroyed everything within it.
In the building.
Yeah, and he tried to basically establish their rulership over that temple, that holy place. And you know what ensued after that was the Jewish priest, I believe his name was Mattathias, his son, Judah, Maccabeus. He led the Jewish army, and as a result, that army was known as the Maccabees.
Maccabees, okay.
Yeah. So this Jewish army fought back against the Greek invasion, and this war back and forth between them went on for 3 years.
Wow.
So in approximately 164 BC is when this war sort of came to an end, and the Jews actually were triumphant. And they took back ownership over this holy temple. They had to thoroughly cleanse the temple, and they had to go back and try to find as many of their original relics and artifacts and stuff. Yeah, and it was hard to do so, very challenging. They found their menorah, which is what most people know and associate as
Hanukkah,
a symbol of Hanukkah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
yes.
it had, it's the candelabra, if you will, where they put candles inside these spokes, these branches. And this candelabra called the menorah has 7 of them. So it's actually 6 branches with one in the middle being the 7th. And that one that's the one in the middle is considered a helper candle, one that you use to light all the other candles.
All the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that one is referred to as the shamash. Okay. Those days they didn't have wax candles like we have today, So they had oil burning lamps, just like we have diyas in Diwali. So this
that's
really
a similar. Actually, there's a lot of similarities that I want to talk about later too. Like once we're done with this, yes.
Absolutely. So they were looking all around this temple to see if they could find the kosher olive oil that they were using to light the candelabra, the menorah. And they only found a very small sealed bottle of that olive oil. And they were like, oh, this is not going to last very long. And it takes them, and they have to light this every day. And apparently to make this oil, to produce this oil, that by itself can take at least a week.
Wow.
So they were in a jam, like, oh, we're just getting our foothold back with this temple. And how do we keep this candelabra burning, while we are somehow able to get more oil? But to their amazement, they used a little bottle of oil that they had, and they lit the menorah, and they thought it would only last maximum maybe 1 day. And to their amazement, miraculously, it
just kept going.
It stayed lit for 8 days. 8 days. That's beyond our week, and this is the reason why Hanukkah is celebrated over the course of
That is so interesting. That is so interesting.
Yes. And, they have, of course, in modern day celebrations, they light the candles, they put the candles inside the menorah. And actually, I need to correct one thing. A lot of people think that the menorah or the candelabra that they have in their homes or anywhere outside of a synagogue or temple, Jewish temple, it's actually not supposed to be called a menorah. A menorah is only supposed to be in those places of worship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So outside of those places of worship, they're called Hanukkias.
Hanukkias, okay.
Yes. And they are the ones with 9 branches.
So the 8 and the helper one. Actually, I was about to ask that because that's what I thought, that there were 8 candles and there's one helper candle.
Exactly.
Okay. So that probably represents that it lasted for 8 days, that little bit of oil.
Correct. So you see a lot of people who celebrate Hanukkah, having these Hanukkahs somewhere near the window so they can display it. And it's very interesting, Sangeetha, that this is a holiday that the Jewish community celebrates openly and with the intention to be all-inclusive, to spread their message of light over darkness and goodness over evil, just like we have with the Diwali. But they want people to engage and join with them. And
Yes.
that's what I love about Diwali, Hanukkah, and Christmas, is that it's so
Festival of lights. So
inclusive.
you see the theme of lights across the
Yes.
culture. Like
Yes.
the theme of good over evil and light over darkness. I mean, that's basically, and this concept of 8 days, a festival running 8 days, and we have the Navratri that runs over for 9 days.
Yes.
The similarities are pretty cool to watch,
Yeah.
pretty cool to learn about.
They're amazing. They're amazing. So many parallels and connections.
Another interesting thing is the fried food part.
Yeah.
Like, they talk about like all the different kinds of food that they make. And as I was going through I was researching for this, one of the things that they make is the latkes. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it right. I
Yeah,
think it's called
latkes, yeah.
latkes,
Yeah.
potato pancakes, pretty much like hash browns,
Hash
potato
browns,
hash
yeah.
browns. So, I mean, it was so interesting. So, all the oil, it is supposed to be specifically fried in oil. And I was immediately taken back to all our festivals where so many things are fried in oil.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
So, as I mentioned, this is the one holiday that the Jewish community celebrates in such a big way and so publicly, but generally they are not known to celebrate their other holidays as extravagantly or publicly. It's very private and within their community and within their homes.
So here it is all about community and singing, dancing together, and sharing food together. Pretty much like all the other festivals in all the different cultures that we have come across. Like
Yes.
even like if you think about it, like in Diwali, it is also about and even here gift exchange happens too.
Right.
Like they are exchanging gifts with each other. In our culture, typically we don't exchange gifts, but if you think about it, Diwali is all about going out and making purchases, buying new outfits, especially for
Yes.
that particular day, buying sweets and sharing with friends and family,
Right.
So that part of it is pretty similar. Like we don't all want to be just doing our day-to-day chores every day. Like every now and then we need that celebration. We need to remind ourselves that there is more to life than just what we are doing day in and day out.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the latkes, the fried potato cakes, or hash browns, if you will. And I found it interesting that they consume it in different flavors. Like
Yes.
they sometimes like to have it with applesauce.
Yes, there's a song too. Applesauce or cream. No,
Sour
cheese-
cream.
Sour cream. Yes, apparently there is a song to it too. I have to go look into that song
Yeah.
later.
So there's, I guess, how the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup advertisements used to say there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
Yeah,
So maybe that's the same applies to this latkes. You can eat
you
it.
can eat it
you
any
can-
which way you want.
You
Yes,
can combine it with anything, savory,
Yes.
spicy, sweet. But what I found through my research was that the two most popular ways to eat them are with sour cream and applesauce.
and applesauce. Yes.
Yeah. So I have to try that sometime. And then there's also, for those of you who are donut lovers, they also have the Jewish donut, or it's pretty much what we call a jelly donut, right? It's a donut with some sort of filling, fruit filling,
Fruit filling,
or
fruit
custard filling.
preserves, chocolate, caramel. They put all types of fillings. I think
Yeah.
it's called
Sufganiot.
ganiot. Yes.
Sufganiot, yeah. I can't eat many of these things for health reasons, but I will have to indulge in a jelly donut and a latke at some point, for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So, this is amazing. And, I believe the Jewish community had to get, permission from the government approval so that they could begin to install these Hanukkiahs in public
Outside.
places.
Yes, in public places.
In
Yes.
public places. And they actually had one of our presidents, I'm not sure if it was Jimmy Carter, it may have been Jimmy Carter, who actually lit the first Hanukkah,
Hanukkah. In a public
place. Yeah. So, which gave that validation to the Jewish community that, hey, Hanukkah is not a holiday that you can overlook.
Yeah, to give it a stamp of approval, a more public stamp of approval. And interestingly, even I think Hanukkah is like based off of a lunar calendar. Somewhere I read that. Just pretty similar to many of our festivals. There is always that which day will every year that it will fall on a different day. Like Diwali falls on different days around the same time, but different days. So that's another similarity that I found, that if they also base it off of a lunar calendar.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a great point. That's a great point, because I think most religious groups at their onset, they all followed either a solar calendar or a lunar calendar and based all their festive days or holidays. All of these were in accordance to some sort of a lunar or solar calendar. But now what we're going to speak about, maybe globally the most celebrated festival, which is Christmas, right? Yeah. And that is always constantly on the same day of the year.
Yes.
You know, which is unlike, like I said, most festivals are not celebrated in that manner. But that also relates to the story of another group of, or another empire, I should say, that did their fair share of invasions and persecution. And that was the Romans. The Roman Empire were also of strong pagan faith that we spoke about. And they worshipped the sun god. And the name of the sun god in paganism is Mitra. Interestingly, that means friend, right, in Sanskrit.
Yes.
And we also have a special connection with the sun god as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Surya Dev. Yes. We have Surya Dev is one of the prominent demigods. In fact, if I'm not wrong, I think the very first Veda, Rig Veda, gives a lot of glorification to the sun god.
Sun god, yes.
Yeah.
And we do all the Surya Namaskara chanting, and we do all the poses, and big portion of our thing is devoted to Lord Surya, yes.
Yes. And he's also called Surya Narayana. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. So,
this I didn't know.
So I remember when my son got his sacred thread, Upanayanam done, sacred thread ceremony done. At that time, the priest had told him that the physical form of God that this world depends on and can see every day practically is that of Surya Bhagavan, Surya Narayan.
Okay.
So he said, of course, all the other forms of God have appeared and gone, and right now we don't have in the midst of us. He's that representation. He's that daily visible form.
Yes, daily reminder of that power, yes.
Of the divine energy, yes.
Yes.
And we very much need that light and that the heat that comes from the sun, you know. Our world depends on that so much. So I found that connection to be amazing with the pagan faith. And they used to celebrate what they would consider the birth of the sun god, or the origin of the sun god, as December 25th.
25th. Oh, okay.
And
That's
they
cool.
decided, as I believe the Roman emperor was Constantine, Emperor Constantine I, who on his deathbed was baptized.
Okay.
And there was, this was the same empire that led to Jesus' crucifixion.
Oh.
They mocked him. They dressed him in robes because they said, here's your Messiah, your king, in a way insulting him.
Insulting him, yes.
And he did not take insult to these things. He said, "Oh Father, oh dear Father, please forgive them as they know not what they do."
What they do, yes.
So that was, in a nutshell, just from that phrase, you can tell how forgiving and loving and gracious and benevolent Jesus was.
He knew better. I mean,
He knew better.
Yeah. I mean,
and he had constant touch with his Father, as they refer to Jesus as the Son of God.
Son of God,
So
yes.
as the Roman Empire began getting Christianized more and more, so they decided that, as Christianity became more prominent, why not celebrate the birth of Jesus on the same day?
Okay.
So
Wow.
December 25th, which was dedicated to celebrating the birthday or the appearance day of the sun god, then became the birthday of Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ.
which is now forever, the one day in the calendar that December 25th is Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So very interesting. And there's also an interesting tie-in here, because after Jesus was crucified, his body was put into a cave and covered up by this boulder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Romans, while they, of course, they insulted him and treated him like he was just a mere human being, not any sort of king or messiah or anything, they condemned all his messages, verbal messages and wisdom. They belittled his miracles. But somewhere deep down inside their psyche, he had made that impact. So they were concerned if anybody who believed in him would be trying to get into that cave to get his remains out, to get his body, his dead body out, because the reason they covered that cave with a big boulder was they wanted to prevent that from happening.
They wanted to make sure nobody got to him.
Okay. And those of you who know the story of Easter, that basically is celebrating his resurrection. The soul rises from outside of the body, which is also what we believe in Hinduism, right? The soul leaves the body at the point of death. But in this case, the body also had disappeared.
Okay.
So this great miracle happened around why we celebrate Easter.
Easter, okay.
Right? So this symbolizes the double celebration of the sun god and the son of God.
Sun god, right? And son of God.
Yeah, so both are rising. So that is symbolic of the rising sun, and which illuminates the world, and the Son of God who came here and walked among men to illuminate our minds.
Wow.
Spiritually.
That is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
So what a connection there, huh?
Yes. No, I mean, just like, if you really think about it, it's like when you go back to that source, there's so much happening there. Like, we are not even aware. Many people are not aware. People like me are absolutely not aware. It's not until we start digging deep is when we come to know of so many things.
Right. Absolutely. And, an interesting thing about Jesus's birth is that, people probably blindly believe that Jesus was born on December 25th. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But biblical verses do not back this up at all. There's nothing actually in the Bible that definitively tells you when he was born. But based on some clues that they say that shepherds were out tending to their sheep and cattle and all that stuff. So that type of activity typically doesn't happen in the cold months.
December, January.
So that's why the people who were historians, they were able to come to some sort of an understanding that, okay, fine, Christmas has now basically become December 25th. That's when we celebrate it, which is fine, and that's not going to stop. But it's very likely that Jesus' birth was sometime in the spring season.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's an interesting tidbit that I thought most may not know.
Yeah, so far this is all we know, that we know Jesus was born on this day and that's why they celebrate it. But yeah,
Right.
this is an interesting bit of information.
Right. And what we know today as Christmas and how it's celebrated in our modern times. A lot of the Christmas celebrations in history were very different. They were nothing like perhaps how it's celebrated today. And it's gone through evolutionary process, I would say. It's morphed over time. But it's very interesting in England. Once the Roman Empire had gone down, medieval ages were basically coming to an end. In probably the 15th or 16th century, how England also took to Christianity, right? And this birth of Jesus that should be celebrated as Christmas started to spread. And it was celebrated in a very party, like open street partying, getting drunk, right? It reminds you of Mardi Gras celebration, right? Down in New Orleans, Louisiana, how they celebrate Mardi Gras, which is a French festival. A lot of how Christmas celebrations were held, parades in the street and all kinds of raucous noise and sometimes people doing the most outlandish things. Nothing, to do with sort of like a more subdued, more prayerful, mood.
Or more ritualistic or religious.
Yeah.
To it, yes.
Yeah, so it was just a big party, and all kinds of crazy things happening. And there's a group called the Puritans who were Christians, who were believers of Jesus, but they had a conscience. They had some, they felt like they had to be the conscience of this,
of the society.
Of this society, and they said, no, we cannot have this type of celebration happening when we're trying to glorify or be in a prayerful mood, celebrating the birth of the holy Messiah, Jesus Christ. So they tried very much to clean this up and to outlaw this type of a celebration. But unfortunately, it had just the spirit of Christmas was something that filled everybody's heart with love and joy and warmth. And so it was
especially at a time like when your winter is setting in, the nights are longer, the days, shorter, and it's dark and it's depressing. So people want something to look forward to.
Exactly.
Probably.
Yeah. And, ultimately, it, like I said, it spread and as it spread from one country to another, some interesting elements, got added to it. And some things got deleted, So that's how certain things. So in today's American Christmas, how we celebrate it here in America, there's some remnants of what different communities and different countries, how they adopted this celebration.
So now it's become more family centric. It's more, it's associated more with the kids in the house, like, the whole decorating of the tree and having gifts, and you bring in this person who gives you gifts. Santa Claus comes into the picture.
Absolutely.
And it's completely more family centric now.
Yeah, very much so.
To think about it, yes.
Very much so. And, a lot of the things that you just named, those are like symbolic. Instantly your mind thinks about a Christmas tree, ornaments hanging from the Christmas tree, the gifts that are under the Christmas tree. Who brings those gifts? You mentioned Santa Claus.
Santa Claus brings in, yes.
Yeah. So where did Santa Claus come from? Where did this Christmas tree come from? It's like we don't know anything else, so we feel like this is how it's always been. But no, this concept of the Christmas tree came from Germany.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
So when the English queen, right, her name was Queen Victoria, in the year 1840, she married her own cousin, Prince Albert of Germany. And they had been using the Christmas tree. So in 1848, the London Illustrated News published an engraved photo of the royal family standing around the very first Christmas tree
yes,
that was ever seen by the English
by the
citizens.
public, yes.
Yeah. And then it became a very common...
I think it was called the evergreen tree, I think.
the evergreen tree.
Evergreen tree, yes.
Or the fir tree, as it's also referred to, FIR. So that type of tree with real apples hanging from it and lights and different ornaments, that concept came from Germany, and they were celebrating what they call Adam and Eve Day. And this was celebrated on December 24th, Christmas Eve.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Adam and Eve were considered in biblical terms to be the first man and woman of human civilization. Just like we in Hindu civilization consider it to be Manu. And there have been various Manus that have come and gone. We believe in much, much bigger cycles of time and lots of them. But of course, Manu and Shatarupa, first man and first woman, who were the first progenitors, so to speak, of human society.
The names have changed. The concept
is very much the same.
Yeah.
Very much the same. And the story is that Adam and Eve were in this holy garden of Eden. They were created, and God wanted them to eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. Okay? So that they will always be spiritually illuminated. But as we have come to know, this world is also very bewildering, and we get attracted to material things.
Yes.
So Adam and Eve were both attracted by this fruit that was on this tree that a serpent had coiled itself around, and the serpent had somehow attracted them to try this apple from this tree that was not the tree of knowledge or tree of life. But so essentially when they ate that apple, lust and
everything else started.
Anger, jealousy, all these human vices, the vices that we have in our psyche, these began to take birth. So these are symbolic stories. I don't think people should take them very literally. Or did this really happen? That's the question that people will have. But I think the bottom line is that what we should understand is that in this world that we live in, various religious communities have had to give you some sort of a story to be able to relate to how human civilization began, and then also how materialism and certain vices and all, how they grew.
How they started.
How they took birth within the originators of human civilization, if you will. And like you said, the names may be different, but ultimately these characteristics have been passed down. These, so
it's really the correlation, across cultures, that the more you read about these things, and then you can't help but wonder that why are we fighting?
Absolutely. I am quite often scratching my head about that issue because we as a human society have engaged in so many wars and bloodshed, and all in the name of a different God, so to speak, but it's all really not a different God. It's one God.
It's all one. It's all heading towards one direction. They have all the same themes running underneath.
Yes.
All these stories, if you think about it.
Absolutely. So this is something that we should realize right now, and you feel this unification with the rest, with even those who do not necessarily practice our religion. To each their own, but every individual who can realize this can have that open heart and be accepting of the differences that we have. It's not a big deal.
But that's what makes life so interesting, right? Like
Yes.
if everybody is thinking the same thing and doing the same thing. In one of
Yeah.
the videos that I was watching, there was this little girl who said that we
Yeah.
are all different. We are all supposed to be different. We all can have different beliefs. I love that. Like it
Yeah.
came from a little girl. A girl as young as that was able to get it.
Right.
We should be able to get that.
Yeah.
And if you see, that is the theme of my book too. Like we are
Yes.
all different and we are all allowed to have different beliefs.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely fine.
Right. And we have to find the beauty in that, right? Find the beauty
Exactly.
in the differences in the different cultures and the customs, traditions, rather than thinking mine is superior to yours. That superiority, inferiority complex is the issue. That
Exactly.
that egoism is the problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like I said, the Christmas tree came from Germany. Similarly, even today, we sometimes receive, I know it's becoming sort of a dying tradition, but, it's receiving holiday cards in the mail, right? Season's
Yes.
greetings and happy holidays and Merry Christmas and all that with the, a picture of of whoever's
Family.
sending it
Yes.
and some
Yes.
nice message they may have written in there. That the first holiday Christmas card was printed in 1848. I'm sorry, in 1843. It was printed in England, and then that tradition carried over to America.
America. Okay.
Thing.
That is a very cool tradition. Actually, one of my students in my school, they gave each of the teachers a card like that. There
Yeah.
were 4 of them, like mom, dad, and the 2 children in the picture with the Christmas tree. And it was so beautiful. It was so much nice to have that kind of personalized card.
Yeah. So similar to the tree coming from Germany and the greeting card concept coming from England, there's also a plant called the poinsettia plant. I'm not quite sure the pronunciation of it, but it's red and green in color. The leaves or the petals are all red with like the green
It's
stem.
beautiful to look at. It's
And
beautiful to
that
look
was
at.
brought over from Mexico in 1828 by an American minister
Okay.
who had gone out to Mexico, and he brought this back. And this is something that we sometimes put on our dining tables as a decor piece or as a part of the wreath that you hang on your door. I mean,
It is very pretty to look at. I love to
Very
look
pretty.
at that. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, it's amazing to know that, what we consider probably American tradition is really tradition that has migrated here,
Yeah.
that has been
And
brought here.
it's catching like, everybody is doing it now. It's like spread all over the world.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a Christmas tree. You probably have one at home.
Yes, we do.
And for the joy of our children, and even for us, we feel so festive when we look at that, when we light our Christmas tree or...
We have already lit it up for the Diwali and
Yeah.
like right after that comes Thanksgiving, right after that comes Christmas. So
Yeah.
it's like a series of festivals anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we like to decorate our inside and outside our homes.
Yes.
And my kids especially love the inflatables. So they have a Santa and they have Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, all,
that's
in
nice.
that Christmassy attire and everything. So
And I love going out and seeing all the decorations and everybody in the neighborhood and the neighboring communities and everything. That's so much fun.
It's truly such a festive time and a
Especially when
beautiful
you're
time.
driving back in the dark,
Yeah.
back from work, and you see all these lights everywhere. It's so pretty to watch.
It's incredible. So, now we come to the big jolly fellow who we have already mentioned, ho, 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 old Saint Nick, right?
A beautiful concept, I have to say, one of the best concepts ever created.
Yeah, known to us as Santa Claus. And before he was jumping down chimneys and delivering gifts to children, this is also interesting to hear, like, where did this originate from? And it started with an Orthodox Greek bishop in Turkey. His name was Saint Nicholas,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's where we get Old Saint Nick from.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a day that was celebrated in glorification of him, even while he was alive. So it was called Saint Nicholas Day, and it was celebrated on December 6th.
Okay.
And that was the day when he would go around and gift and provide gifts to children,
Mm-hmm.
especially those who were well-behaved. I don't know where he would get the report from, but maybe the parents were in constant communication with Saint Nicholas.
Okay.
And apparently the kids who are not so well-behaved did not get much. So that motivated children to behave well and listen to their parents, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
And even till this day, we say, if you want Santa to bring your gifts this year, you have
You
to
better
listen
be
to your
good.
mom and dad. You better
Yes.
be good, yeah. And that's also one of the first questions that we see when the Santa is sitting in the mall or wherever you stumble upon Santa in a public place. People who stand in line to get a picture with him, that's the first thing that Santa will ask once he seats the children on his lap and says, have you been a good boy this year? Have you
Yes.
been a good girl this year? And then he'll resort to asking them what they would like
What
for
would you
Christmas.
like? Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Of course, the parents then have to fulfill that desire and pay the bill. But it's such a beautiful concept, like you said. So this Saint Nicholas, who was the bishop, took on this persona of being such a giving person who wanted to bring smiles to the faces of children around this time, around the same time as Christmas. And that sort of transferred over to America. And the Dutch in Holland used to call him Sinterklaas.
Sinterklaas. Okay.
Sinterklaas.
Now we're
yeah.
getting there. We're getting to Santa Claus now.
Yes. So that's where we get the name Santa Claus from, right?
Yeah.
So the thing was, the Puritan community still existed in the 19th century in this country. And for a long time, there was no Christmas holiday. The government also, once we became an independent nation in 1776, the government never declared a holiday like known as Christmas, even though, there was church and there was, people who followed Christianity and Catholicism and all that. There was nothing known as Christmas. And eventually the American people said, we need to have something. So they urged the government.
We don't have a big holiday or a big
Yeah, they
thing.
never had something where they could, rest and enjoy their time with their family and celebrate however they wished to. But once it started to become a holiday in the year 1870, when President Ulysses S. Grant declared it a national and federal holiday, there was a writer and a man who held a post in the church, Orthodox Church. His name was Clement Clark Moore. So in 1822, he wrote a poem, which is an iconic poem, by the way. Even today, children hear this in movies, and, it's recited through the Christmas carolers and all that. The poem was written as, or titled as, A Visit from St. Nicholas. Okay, so that's where this concept of St. Nicholas, who later became known as Santa Claus,
Yes.
actually visits your home and comes through the chimney and delivers the presents to you in the middle of the night when everybody's sleeping.
Yeah. You cannot be up. Then Santa Claus won't visit.
Yes, exactly. And at some point, I guess the tradition came about of leaving him some snacks.
Yes, milk and cookies. Oh, I have done that. I have done that with my daughter, and then I have left a Santa Claus note.
Yes.
Thankfully, at that time, she didn't recognize my handwriting. She was too young to do that. Yeah, I've done all of that.
Yep. So this poem, which was titled A Visit from St. Nicholas, this is how it starts. 'Twas a night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
Oh,
Does that sound familiar?
Yes,
So
it does.
Most people refer to it as 'twas the night before Christmas.
'Twas the night. Yes.
Yeah. So, but interestingly, the writer of this poem because he was part of that church, he felt that the church may condemn such a concept. So he was scared to
Present this
or say that he had actually written it. He had written it for his children. But, I think, children are so innocent. Maybe through them, it traveled.
Yes.
They
probably told their friend told their friend.
Exactly. In the school setting or something. And then parents came to know about it. And then they started to look forward to this character Santa Claus who's going to be coming and giving them the presents on Christmas Eve, the night of Christmas Eve. So, look at how these things have come about. It's amazing.
Evolved. Yes.
And then once he felt like, okay, enough people know about this now, he was actually ready to admit that he was the one who wrote it.
Who wrote this, yes.
And look at how popular it is today. It is recited, like I said.
And leave it to the kids to grab hold of the fun stuff.
The fun stuff.
No grown-up would have done that. It's the kids, they had to rescue us.
Absolutely. So now in 1822, through this poem, we are now giving the children this, this imagery, so to speak, or this sort of like a narrative that, there's a Santa Claus character who is delivering your gifts to you on Christmas Eve. But there was no depiction of this said character known as Santa Claus, right? So
nobody knew how he looked.
That came 41 years later.
Wow.
Can you believe that? In 1863, a cartoonist for Harper's Weekly, which was news magazine, based and published out of New York City. In that, a cartoonist, his name is Thomas Nast, gave Santa Claus the look of the modern-day portly Caucasian man with a white beard, which sort of fit how older men, I guess, at that time were looking.
Looked like, yes.
Yeah. So he tried to mirror that and make it very relatable.
Yeah, more kid-friendly too.
Yes, that was quite interesting. So
that's a lot of history for this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history going. Like there's a cultural evolution going. There is a religious evolution going.
Yeah. Of course, after that, Sangeetha, we are no strangers to how excessively, or I don't know if you want to call it like shamelessly, the retail industry and those who are selling products, food products, toys, maybe perfumes or clothing or what have you.
Whatever gifts, the various gifts.
They put this figure of Santa Claus advertising that product.
Front and center.
Yeah. And Santa Claus, ever since, has become this commercial figure that everybody associates with Christmas.
Christmas, yes.
So, interesting thing is, like, as the commercialization of Christmas happened and, people began just celebrating more so with families, like you said, kind of doing their own thing. Churches were sort of, also open to do the religious part of it. So those who wanted to engage in worship and lighting a candle and making a sincere prayer and at the, in the churches, many sects of Christianity had their churches open on Christmas Eve night to do the mass, special mass, right? And also Christmas morning.
Yes.
But the Puritans for a long time tried to hold out and say, oh, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do this. But then, their community also sort of like convinced them that, hey, we need to have
something to look forward to. Some celebration. And I think I think one of the main reasons for many of the festivals that we celebrate is also that to celebrate and to to come out of the day-to-day existence that we lead, like get up in the morning, go to work, come back, cook, clean. You want something more out of life than just doing that.
Absolutely. So, of course, along with those who visit the church, if they wish to, in the church, they have the choirs singing the
carols.
Christmas
Yes.
carols.
Yes. Oh, it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
just, it's such a divine experience listening to the carols. Like my son is in a choir in school, and we have right before the holidays started, like
Yeah.
they had all these concerts and performances.
Yeah.
The music, the orchestra, the kids singing, like the choir singing. It's just amazing.
It's
It's
amazing.
such a beautiful experience.
It's heartwarming.
Yes.
And, of course, so many songs that are associated, like,
Jingle Bells,
White Christmas or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Reindeer. Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Santa Claus
I
is
love
coming
that
to
song.
town, and so many more. And so many amazing singers and artists, very famous ones, have released their own versions of these Christmas songs and carols. And it's really spectacular. Silent Night,
Yes. Then
I saw-
Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
Yeah.
All different
It
versions.
ranges
of
from very
Hallelujah.
religious
Yes.
to very
Peppy.
peppy, and I'd like to say I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus. That's the other extreme.
Extreme, yes.
Yeah, but it's amazing. It's really, really, all of it really makes you feel really cheerful and happy,
Yes.
And I was enjoying when I was taking my kids to see Christmas lights, and I was playing nonstop holiday music.
Music, yes. No, if you go to those events, and even if you go during this time, what I love, like when you go to the grocery stores, they are playing all this Christmas music, the holiday music theme is going on in the background. Oh, I love that time. I love to shop at that time.
Yes.
Because it just gets you into the feel and mood of the time.
Yeah, it's really hard for anybody to escape
Yes.
experiencing Christmas in America, especially.
Yeah.
And like you said, movies, there's so many classic movies like Miracle on 34th Street.
Actually, I want to watch that. I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah. I think there have been like newer versions of it also.
There's one from 1994 too. I wanted to watch that one.
Yeah. I was told by my colleagues who I work with in Baltimore that even in Baltimore, there's a residential area on 34th Street. There's a 34th Street in Baltimore.
Street. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And apparently, the condition upon which that you can even buy a home there is that you will decorate your home
For Christmas.
for Christmas.
Oh.
And you will put lights on your house and roof and everything.
So every house there has lights at that
Yes.
time then?
Yes. That's the condition upon which you
Oh,
can
I
even buy a house there.
really didn't know this.
Yeah. I didn't know it either until very recently. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And apparently, their electricity bill is basically canceled out for this month.
For the month of... Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's because they're on
That's
the
a
hook.
good motivator for many people.
Yeah. That's because they're on the hook to making their home as
Christmassy as possible.
Christmassy as possible. Unbelievable. So these
Wow.
are some of the cool little fun facts about, Christmas. So yeah, so that movie, how it relates to 34th Street in different
okay.
states, probably different locations. So that was cool. And of course, there seems to be a constant production of new Christmas movies. Now since we have streaming platforms, when you go and there is even like probably a category where you can
Holiday
go to
movies.
Christmas
Holiday
movies or
movies,
holiday
Christmas
movies.
movies, yes.
Yeah, and you'll see one that was produced this year.
Yes.
Or released this year. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So we're not just left with the old classics.
We're
but
getting new versions of it. Yeah,
there are
because
new-
I mean, so many new things are happening. Why not bring that in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I got a chance to see a few of the more recently made ones, and they're very enjoyable.
Okay.
So, yeah, some funny, humorous ones, So, this kind of sums up Christmas and, and Hanukkah celebration. I feel so fulfilled having known some of this history now, having researched some of this history, that it gives it so much context and a different perspective of looking at something that you always thought, okay, this is how it's always been. No, this is not how it's always been. And
Especially Christmas that I have researched, I have seen that it has come a long way. So
Yes.
much has happened over the
Right.
years. So
A
many
lot of evolution.
changes.
A lot of evolution.
evolution. Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to actually bring some interesting links between Jesus and Lord Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting how both of them were considered born to a virgin mother,
Mm-hmm.
virgin birth, as they say,
Yeah.
Virgin Mary, and even Devaki Mata gave birth to Krishna as a virgin. And then there was also, you know, after they were born, there was immediate danger to their life.
Yes.
So just like how Krishna was transported by his father Vasudeva,
Mm-hmm.
walking through the Yamuna River and getting him into Gokul,
Mm-hmm.
I believe Jesus was also transported from Bethlehem, where he was born,
To, I think, Egypt, out of the fear, because there was an evil king similar to Krishna's uncle Kans. There was an evil king named Herod, and he had ordered all the newborns in Bethlehem to get killed. So, you know, out of that fear, his parents transported him, I believe, to Egypt.
So right there, you're seeing so many, right from the
So
birth,
much.
you know?
Yes. Yes.
And then later on, how they healed people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, how Krishna healed that hunchback lady physically just by touching
Yes.
her
Yes.
kubja. And then there's that, you know, how Christ gave speech to somebody, eyesight to somebody, just by
They
touching
they
his...
had those power
Yeah.
of doing the miracles, both of them.
Absolutely. And then wisdom, you know. We know, of course, we spoke about Bhagavad Gita earlier and the profound wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, such profound wisdom was and you can probably, if you actually know what is said in the sermon that Jesus delivered to his apostles,
Mm-hmm.
it's called the Sermon on Mount Sinai.
Okay.
You know, love thy neighbor,
Yes.
you know, do unto others as you would want done unto you,
Do you? Yes.
you know, and spirit saveth, letter killeth. I've read all this wisdom and I can speak very eloquently about it.
Okay.
That's not necessarily making you great.
Okay.
It's how you live that wisdom, how you
Yeah.
imbibe it, how you
Not
soak
what
it
you
in,
say, but what you do.
what you do. Exactly.
Yes.
That's what speaks volumes.
Yes.
More than perhaps the amazing speech that you may give
Speeches.
to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So, you know, a lot of, I'm sure Bhagavad Gita and the sermon, what is in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
the New Testament, I'm sure there's a
There
lot
might
of
be a lot of
commonalities there.
Definitely.
I'm sure there's a
Definitely.
lot of the same kind of
Message.
message given
Yes.
to humanity.
Yes.
You know, I can't imagine there's a lot of major differences there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's really trying to make human society love one another, be there for one another, and see the greater good in people,
Yes.
right? Look for the positives and don't dwell on the negatives,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because everybody's
Absolutely.
imperfect around you. So you also need to see yourself as imperfect. So that brings about the humility.
Yes.
And that was embodied by Jesus, right? He was personified humility. So on that note, I'd like to get to a very interesting video, Christmas Eve of 1987, when Guruji spoke about more about Jesus and his importance and the impact he had in this world.
That wonderful incarnation of Christ, that Jesus, that is called the Yuga avatar. Say that? Yuga. Not the yoga, but the Yuga. Yuga means the age. He is Yuga avatar, means who created a new age in the human history. Because of his manifestation, the entire world is divided into BC and AD. Never before it has happened like that. That is a Yuga avatar, one who came to create a new Yuga. New Yuga. Now, what is the meaning of Christ? And what is the meaning of Jesus? And how they are different and how they are united. When we know that, then we know the mystery of this great manifestation. All of you know, Christ never takes birth. Christ never grows or diminishes. Christ never dies. Christ means the Word of God. All of you know John's Gospel. In the beginning was the Word. Word was with God. Word was God. The Word is known as Om. In the Christian prayer at the end it comes, Amen. That is the Word. That was Om. Oh, God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. If you have a big bus, you call omnibus. Anything that which is big, so big, it's called Om. And that is the Word. So what does Christ mean? Christ means the Word of God. Word made flesh. That is Jesus. That Word walked among us. That Word of God is fully manifest in Jesus, the man. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. In the sermon itself, it comes. We have all come from God. None of us have come from Satan. Even though Satan wants to claim that, the truth is, we have all come from God. God is fully manifest in every one of us. We are unconscious about that. Jesus became conscious because of his purity. We are not pure enough. So Christmas is for getting that purity. Christmas means to develop that purity in us. Christmas means that Christ to be born again in us. That's called Christmas. In all religions, big festivals means big shopping, that's all. It's a part, of course, it's a part of a festival, there's nothing wrong. But the main part, no one wants to discuss. They are so terribly afraid of losing the individual ego. And therefore, we worship Jesus because he sacrificed. We don't want to sacrifice. Therefore, we cannot attain that as if. But he says, Jesus himself says, be ye perfect. Otherwise, he would have said, you all sinful, wretched people, you will never be at any time good people. You will all be damned in hell forever. Jesus never said that. Some churches may say that to keep their business go on. But Jesus would never say that. Jesus sees himself in everyone. He walks among most humble people. And therefore he himself says, be ye perfect, as thy Father in heaven is perfect. He wanted each one of us to attain that perfection. He never claimed that I am something very special. No one is equal to me. You are all fools. He never said that. He was telling, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. He was telling his apostles, can we perform all the miracles which you performed? He said to Peter, of course, you can all perform all the miracles which I did, and even more. I am not telling anything from my own. This is in the Bible. He says, even more than me. You, each one of you can perform miracles, provided you have as much faith as I have in my Father in heaven. That is the only difference. If you have as much faith as I have in my Father, then you can perform more miracles and healing than I did. How many such great masters and yogis who had complete faith in God, whose stories are not known in the West. Jesus knew all these masters. Therefore, in the Aquarian Gospel, you will see from the age of 13 up to the age of 30, there is not a single explanation in the written words of the apostles. There is no story of Jesus at all from the age of 13 up to the age of 30. For 17 years, where was Jesus? Here you have the answer. That how he was in Tibet, in Persia, in Egypt, and through all these ways how he has gone to India, and how he spent so many years between Tibet and in that Kashmir, walking up to Amarnath and coming back. The Kashmir Christians know about this secret, and the manuscript which is found in Tibetan, the Lama Sari, is the one that which is translated by a man called Michael, a Russian, into Russian language. First, he translated the manuscripts from the Tibetan monastery into a book called The Known and Unknown Life of Jesus. So many of these things are not properly studied, and the Aquarian Gospel, which is mostly read in the United States by younger generation, who understand that how Jesus was with Sanskrit-speaking Pandits, Mahatmas, Avataras, Yogis, and in South America, I found an extraordinary painting of Jesus sitting in a Himalayan cave as a great yogi, practicing deep, deep meditation. And thus in Tibet, there are so many stories. In Sanskrit, there are so many stories. Having Kashi, Kanchi, Kashmir, this extraordinary, effulgent, tall man with copper-shaped, copper-colored beard, with shining blue eyes penetrating, was walking and conversing with them in equal terms, and had several meetings with greatest masters in the Himalaya to propagate a dharma, a yoga, a discipline, a teaching which had to stand forever in guiding the people of Kali Yuga. He was practicing all the pujas and the rituals taught by Moses. Even when the healer, the patients came and he healed, he would only tell them, do not tell anyone that I healed you. Go and worship God as it is taught in the tradition. For I am come not to destroy the law. I am come to fulfill the law and the prophets. Never Jesus said in the whole Bible that I have come specially to begin a religion called Christianity. Never. 18 times I read the Bible. I couldn't find one sentence. I am come to fulfill the law and the prophets. The rest is organization. Organization is needed for conveying the spirit of the teaching to broadcast it. But too much organization we did in the West, where we killed the religion. We killed the spirit. Letter killeth, spirit saveth. That is what the Bible teaches. But no one wants to know the spirit, and they just take the letter and say, my church is better than yours.
The Mass, the Holy Mass, and the Christ Mass.
Yes,
the word itself means the Mass.
But we made the mess. You see, we do not practice that. When the Christ consciousness manifests in me, that is real Christmas. Real Christmas is that. So Jesus came as a man, and then by the purity of his body, purity of his mind and spirit, he was capable of holding. It's so beautiful, friends. I do not know, even with the best of words, how to convey this message. See, Jesus went on purifying his instrument, his body. The more he purified, God's spirit went on entering into his soul, as much as he purified, until when he is totally pure, full spirit of God entered into him. Christ consciousness means that. That is where the Jesus fused into Christ. That's called the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is where the Father and the Son are one and the same. Until then, Jesus teaches the 3 levels to understand in the Bible. For ordinary folks, he teaches, my Father in heaven. And he taught that Lord's Prayer for all common beings to meditate upon the high kingdom and my Father in kingdom. Wherever he taught to masses, that is how he taught. And then those developed yogis evolved apostles, little bit higher teaching, advanced student for them, he said, I am the vine, means vine in this case, not the W, the tree. I am the vine and ye are the branches. I am the vine and ye are the branches. Means I am the tree, you are the branch. Means I am full, you are part of me. That's called clarified monism. The first one is dualism. Not duality, but dualism. That's what Jesus chose, the two fingers, you see. You later made in America the victory for that. But it was when he showed the two fingers, it means God and the soul. Always in Jesus' picture you will see that, God and the soul. That is what he taught in the beginning. To the advanced students, he taught that I am the tree and you are the branches. For the highest evolved ones in a very, very high consciousness, when he had no body consciousness at all, the Spirit declared, I and my Father are one and the same. Father knows the Son, Son knows the Father. And none can reach the Father except through the Son. That teaching came there. So, Son of God means what? The Word of God. And to His kingdom there is no end. And that Christ comes in each and every one of us to the degree we purify. As much we purify our mind and the heart, so much He penetrates into us. The more we sacrifice, more will be the reward. So Jesus, practicing that purification, finally sacrificed Himself for that love of God. Therefore, He is called the Lamb of God. Lamb of God came to us. Lamb of God came to us to show the way of sacrifice.
To show the way of sacrifice.
Jesus, Jesus, Christ Jesus,
Jesus, Jesus, Christ Jesus.
the Son of God, Christ Jesus.
The Son of God, Christ Jesus.
That is the Lamb of God, who has come to show the way of sacrifice. All of us know there is no realization without sacrifice. Whether you are a Hindu or a Buddhist or a Christian, to whichever religion you belong, unless there is sacrifice, there cannot be God realization at all. And that is why Jesus showed the way of sacrifice. He gave Himself totally to God, and therefore God entered into Him totally. We have to imitate, therefore, practice, therefore, all that which is taught in the wisdom. Thank you. Happy Christmas. Very happy New Year to come.
Wow, that was really something. Lot of information to process.
You know, Guruji always brings amazing perspective to this. And it's interesting how he was tying in the three levels. For the beginners, he started with dualism, which is known in our Vedic tradition or Vedanta as Dvaita,
Dvaita, yes.
Dvaita, which was Madhvacharya's, right? So it's you have this individual soul who never equates himself with God, right? I'm
So
the soul, and
God
you're
is separate, yes.
God is separate,
from
yes.
me.
And then
Yes.
there's Vishishta Dvaita, which is that, the one where he said, I'm the tree and you're the branches. So you're all
Branches,
part
yes.
of me. So there
Yes.
is that relationship. And then there's also, then when they merge together into the same
Yes.
level of consciousness, there's Advaita,
Yes.
non-dualism.
So I guess that's what they say, Aham Brahmasmi.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So it's amazing how Jesus' teachings or the levels of how he taught it to those who deserved it to be taught in a certain way coincides with these three major schools of Vedantic philosophy.
Yeah. See, again, the same thing. There's similarities everywhere.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And one thing that I was remembering somehow, Guruji somehow triggers. So what I had forgotten was when I was telling you about the similarities between Krishna and Christ. One other similarity is that Krishna grew up as a cowherd boy, and
Yes.
Jesus was a shepherd.
Shepherd. Yes.
So look at
There
that
you go.
connection.
There you go. No, I mean, if you start looking for it, you will find it.
Absolutely.
I think the problem is like we don't want to look for it.
Right.
We don't want to see it because it makes life harder for us then
Correct.
somehow.
So this now brings me to the last segment, which is the holy days of the month. And this is our, as I said, the concluding month of the year. So in the month of December, we had of course, December 1st, as I said, was the Bhagavad Gita Jayanti day. We already spoke about that. And interesting thing is, Sangeetha, I'm not sure, you speak Tamil, right?
Yes.
Okay. So 2 South Indian communities celebrate Hanuman Jayanti
Oh, yes. We did.
in this month.
In this month, yes.
December 3rd, the Kannada community does. And December
not sure.
19th,
Yeah.
the
So,
Tamil Nadu.
Tamil, yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
And apparently they're celebrated on Amavasya days, new moon days.
Yes.
And how it's popularly celebrated, I guess, in the north and some other communities, is I think it's in the Chaitra Mas, in the springtime, and it's on a full moon day. So I found that very interesting contrast.
Yes. No, because there is a lot of difference in the North Indian. So there's the same, even for Diwali, if you see the days and, what are the specific, there's a lot of difference in the North Indian and the South Indian community celebrations.
Absolutely. So that, I wanted to mention about Hanuman Jayanti also being celebrated by certain groups. So December 4th, which was full moon day, it had Sri Dattatreya Jayanti.
Oh, okay.
And Dattatreya is known to be a Sadguru type of figure who gave great wisdom as well. And so let me speak a little bit about this. So Datta Jayanti celebrates the birth of Lord Dattatreya, an incarnation of the Hindu Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, signifying divine wisdom, spiritual liberation, and the ultimate guru. It falls on the full moon day of Margashirsha month, which is what we, I think, just finished, offering devotees a powerful time for meditation, breaking negative karma, and seeking divine guidance for a prosperous life, emphasizing universalism and self-realization. Worshipping Dattatreya on this day invokes blessings for overcoming obstacles and achieving spiritual growth, honoring his role as the Guru of Gurus.
Wow. Okay.
So Guruji also wrote a book on Dattatreya. So, and then we have Annapurna Jayanti on the same day. Annapurna Jayanti celebrates Goddess Annapurna, the divine provider of food and nourishment, marking her birth of the full moon, Purnima, on the Margashirsha month, which I mentioned, emphasizing gratitude, prosperity, and the spiritual importance of sustenance, with devotees praying for food security, wealth, and hunger-free life through rituals, community feasts, and charity, or Annadanam, as it's called. It's a reminder that food is sacred, not an illusion, and honors her role in sustaining life, stemming from a legend where she appeared to end a great famine.
Okay.
And she's also considered a form of goddess Parvati. So the mythological origin commemorates the day goddess Parvati manifested as Annapurna in Kashi, Varanasi, to feed a starving world, teaching Lord Shiva about food's importance.
Wow.
So that was interesting. And
There's so much to learn.
Absolutely. And interesting, we spoke about Hanukkah at length, but the actual dates of Hanukkah were December 14th, evening of December 14th through, I believe, the evening of December 22nd. So that marks the 8 days.
8 days.
And you may not have known this, but when I was concluding my research on this, I found this little tidbit which is very, very interesting. We're celebrating Hanukkah in a very rare year where the previous year's Hanukkah dates seeped into this year. So there was a double Hanukkah celebration in the same year
Oh,
of 2025.
how double celebration.
Yeah. So it started at the end of December last year in 2024,
Okay.
and it concluded as in January 2nd.
Oh, okay.
So January 2nd, 2025 was when Hanukkah concluded.
So it was still
This
being
year.
celebrated in
Yes.
2025.
Yes.
Okay.
And now we have just,
Again, we have in December.
yeah, again, we had it in December. So
Yes.
this is not something that it's not like it's never happened before, but it's rare.
Rare. Okay.
So
yeah.
it probably happens every 20 some years,
Yeah,
know.
okay. Oh,
So we are in that year right now, 2025, that had
where
that
it was
double
celebrated
celebration.
twice.
Yes.
Wow.
In the same calendar year. And interestingly, I saw that in the year
3031.
that's a calendar year when the Hanukkah dates are not at all in that calendar year.
Oh, so it will start in Jan
Yes.
of the next year.
Yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's a very, very rare occurrence. Way down the road. But
We don't know what we are going to be then.
but the calculations have already figured that out. That
Wow.
there is going to be this year when Hanukkah will not even fall within the calendar year. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, and December 21st was the shortest day of the year,
Mm-hmm.
also known as the winter solstice.
Solstice. Yes. Lot of things happening in December.
Lot
of
yeah.
things.
And then, of course, we covered Christmas on December 25th. December 27th, Guru Gobind Singh Jayanti.
All right. Yes.
It's also called Pratyaksh Purab. Celebrates the birth of the 10th Sikh Guru. I believe they had 10 gurus, so he was the
Yes.
final one. Highlighting his legacy of courage, justice, equality, and selfless service, marked by founding and introducing the 5 Ks, and establishing them as the eternal guide for Sikhs to follow, inspiring Sikhs to uphold truth, fight oppression, and serve humanity. Devotees honor him through prayers, devotional singing, community meals known as langar,
Langar. Yes.
devotional singing, kirtan, processions, and reflecting on his teachings.
Okay.
He's the founder of the Khalsa. Established the Khalsa in 1699, a community of initiated Sikhs committed to righteousness. And he introduced the 5 Ks, as I said: Kesh, Kanga, Kada, Kachera, and Kirpan, as symbols of identity and discipline. So I hope whoever celebrated among our Sikh friends had a wonderful celebration of Guru Gobind Singh Jayanti. And today, the day we're doing this, once again, I would like to mention that it is Vaikuntha
Vaikuntha
Ekadashi.
Ekadashi.
And it is a highly significant Hindu festival, especially for Vaishnavites. Marking the day Lord Vishnu's heavenly abode, Vaikuntha is believed to be open, offering devotees a direct path to moksha or liberation by cleansing sins, conquering negative qualities like lust and ignorance, and gaining spiritual merit through devotion, fasting, chanting, and passing through the symbolic Uttaradwaram or North Gate in temples. It's a day of immense spiritual power, symbolizing conquering inner demons and achieving self-realization, especially during the holy Dhanurmas. Okay. And today also happens to be the birth anniversary of a very, very Siddha Purush, very evolved spiritual being known as Tailang Swami. So it is Tailang Swami Jayanti. It commemorates the birth of the great Hindu yogi Tailang Swami, whose lifespan was from 1607 to 1887.
Wow.
So he lived approximately 280 years.
Wow.
And he's a revered saint known as the walking Shiva of Varanasi, celebrated annually on the Ekadashi Tithi, which is today, 11th lunar day in the Hindu month of Magha, around January or February. It happens to fall in December this time. Honoring his life of divine wisdom, profound meditation and miraculous powers, with celebrations focused on spiritual reflection, selfless devotion, and his teachings on detaching from worldly desires to find bliss.
Wow. And he lived for 200 years.
280 years.
80 years. Yeah,
Yes.
almost close to 300
Yes.
then. Wow.
And it's interesting. A lot of people wouldn't believe this right off the bat, but there are a lot of legitimate sources that have said that they have the proof, and there are many yogis that we don't see.
Yes.
They're hidden somewhere.
Yes, but they are living. Yes.
They are living for hundreds of years.
Yes.
And they leave that body whenever they wish to do it. It's like they have that type of power. And, they're just not publicly seen. That's why a lot of people cannot believe that anybody can live for that long.
That long. Yes.
But
Wow.
we need to broaden our
I know. Open
mindset.
up. Yes.
Yeah.
We need to open up our mind
Yeah.
a bit.
So that brings to the end.
So that's where the faith comes in, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Just because we think that it can't happen or we don't see it happen with our own eyes, doesn't mean it cannot happen.
Absolutely. And the reason that word miracle even exists, I think, is because that which you cannot comprehend, that which you cannot, from a human mindset, think that you have the ability to do.
Yes.
The average person cannot do these things.
Yes.
But there is some supernatural power that is making these things happen.
Right.
And often it's usually through a saint or somebody who he sends as a messenger. And they are humble enough to say, I'm a mere instrument.
Mm-hmm.
That
right.
The divine is working through me.
Through them, yes.
They never take credit for any of these things. Just like Guruji was talking about how Jesus healed people, but he never wanted to take credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot we can learn from that,
Yes.
So in closing, Sangeetha, once again, I can't thank you enough. It has been an amazing experience to record this episode with you. And I'm very glad that I finally got a chance to have you as a guest. And
yes,
I know
we have been meaning to do this.
I know I put you through a crash course to try to research as much as you can within 24 hours to be able to do this. But I commend
this
you.
was a wonderful experience. This was absolutely a wonderful experience. Like I said, I was a bit hesitant because I am not... I have not researched obviously as much as you have done, but even the short time, like I was able to read through some things, listen to some podcasts and everything. And it has been a fun experience for me. Yes. And I definitely want to delve and dig deeper into these things now.
That's great. That's great. That's what we want our listeners to take away from these episodes, and hopefully somewhere they're inspired to better themselves in whatever way they feel they need to. And I hope everyone out there who's listening has had a very, very safe holiday season. We're still going through it because we have the new year coming up. And I would like to wish all our listeners, a very, very safe and happy New Year's Eve celebration, however you want to celebrate. Please be careful. And may you have a very blessed start to the year 2026. And I hope all of you, if you believe in taking New Year's resolutions, I hope all of you take a resolution to find inner peace and take a few steps forward towards that. That's what I think we all need to do in the world that we're living in right now.
Absolutely.
So,
Happy New Year, everyone, and happy rest of the holidays.
yes. So may you all be well. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.